It's June 26th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Starting with the latest developments on North Korean provocations. The North on Wednesday morning launched a ballistic missile into the East Sea that apparently ended in failure, South Korea's military says. The regime also flew yet another round of waste-carrying balloons for a second straight night on Tuesday. CCTV footage from the lithium battery plant where a blaze killed 23 people on Monday shows it took just around 40 seconds for smoke to swallow up the facility. Police have charged the head of the plant and 4 others in relation to the accident. Russia and Ukraine each let go of 90 prisoners of war in the biggest swap between the two sides on Tuesday, while the first batch of ammunition bought through an initiative led by Czech Republic arrived in Ukraine. North Korea fired a ballistic missile toward the East Sea this morning, which apparently failed. Wednesday's launch came hours after the regime sent more trash-carrying balloons to the south late Tuesday. Our defense correspondent Choi starts us off.
North Korea on Wednesday morning launched a ballistic missile that appears to have failed. According to South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff, the regime fired a ballistic missile toward the East Sea at around 5:30 a.m. from the Pyongyang area. A military official explained that the North appears to have attempted to test launch a hypersonic missile. However, the military said the launch apparently failed, as the missile reportedly exploded mid-air after traveling some 250 kilometers. Seoul and Washington's intelligence authorities are conducting further analysis of the launch. This is the regime's first ballistic missile launch in almost a month. The launch comes after Pyongyang earlier this week slammed the arrival of the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt in South Korea and warned of taking new deterrence measures. The missile provocation also comes hours after North Korea sent trash-carrying balloons for the second straight night on Tuesday. This marks the 6th balloon launch since May 28th. On Monday night, the regime sent around 350 waste balloons, of which 100 landed in South Korean territory, mostly in Seoul and North Gyeonggi-do province. Pyongyang is presumed to have launched around 2,000 balloons so far. The latest balloon delivery caused dozens of domestic and international flights at Incheon International Airport to be suspended for around 3 hours early Wednesday to prevent the risk of an accident. Choi Arirang News.
South Korea's army has conducted live fire drills involving its domestically developed Chunmoo multiple rocket launch systems. The training was held on Tuesday in Poryong, Chungcheongnam-do province, to mark the 74 years since the Korean War. It aimed to enhance the Chunmoo's precision strike capabilities and deterrence against evolving North Korean threats. 7 Chunmoo units launched 48 long-range guided rockets to hit targets 55 kilometers away, and some 190 troops also took part in the training. Now, Chunmoo is a key military weapon designed to counter the North's long-range artillery threats. It can also fire guided missiles with a maximum range of 80 kilometers. CCTV footage capturing the moment the fire started at a lithium battery plant south of Seoul on Tuesday shows just how devastating the accident was. 5 officials from the factory have been charged in relation to the blaze that resulted in at least 23 deaths. Our Kim Jung-soo reports.
In CCTV footage recorded around 10:30 a.m. on Monday, smoke comes out of stack of batteries, startling a worker who was approaching it. Within a minute, more smoke fills the room, prompting other workers to gather and try to stop the fire by moving batteries and bringing a fire extinguisher. The batteries then begin sparking. The police and fire department are conducting an investigation based on the CCTV footage into why the fire started. The fire at a lithium battery factory in Hwaseong, south of Seoul, killed at least 23 people, mostly foreign nationals. According to authorities, 17 were from China and 1 from Laos. 5 were South Koreans. They were mostly working on the second floor of a factory where final product checks and packaging was done. The identification of the victims is expected to take some time due to the extent of the injuries sustained. Only 3 South Koreans identified so far. The police have charged 5 factory officials, including the owner, and banned them from leaving the country. The owner is also charged with violating the Serious Accidents Punishment Act, which was enacted back in 2021 to prevent serious accidents in workplaces.
I apologize that so many lives have been lost.
According to reports, a senior official at the factory said there had been another fire on the premises involving batteries just last weekend. The fire was put out by workers at the time, but it wasn't reported to the fire department. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Medical professors at major hospitals here in Seoul have decided to put aside their collective walkout for now. But investigations into those who actually ditched their patients are now in full swing. For more, we're joined by Professor Song Se-ryun. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Good to join you.
South Korean police have launched a probe into 3 medical professors and also 2 doctors who participated in a major walkout this month. Now, that's because of the effect their actions had on their patients, right?
Right. There are 3 professors, medical professors. Their violation is the Medical Service Act of 59. When government ordered them to resume their medical services, they defy them. But 2 other doctors were sued by the patient. Patients are claiming that their defiance of the government order is a proximate cause of their damages. They have to prove their damages. They have to make the connection between the defiance and the damage. So it's a different kind of lawsuits.
Well, then the question is, how will they each be held responsible? I mean, is there any way they can, get away from potential punishment?
Well, you have to go to the merits of the Medical Service Act of 59. It says if the government the order to resume medical service is necessary for public health, if there's a public hazard, if it's emergency situations, probably those are clear events. For example, if we're in the pandemic or natural disasters, probably that's clear. But at this point, probably doctors would think that they have enough reason to fight in the courts and to see what the highest court will say about the legality and the appropriateness of these government policies.
Well, I'm sure patients are thinking the same, that they have enough reasons to, sue them. But what about the patients? I mean, how can they be compensated if it all ends well in their, case?
Well, their cases are probably civil suits if they're looking for damages. They have more difficult lawsuits because not only do they have to prove that the defiance of the doctors is illegal, is the same as the earlier case, but they have to overcome this answer that if they are not getting their medical service from one doctor, why don't they go to the doctor next to it? There are other doctors that could be open, so they have to make the clear connection that this is the doctor who caused the damages because of their closure or not providing the medical service. So that's probably harder to do.
Definitely. Professor Song, and it's not just doctors, medical students are also being investigated. Now, the Education Ministry has requested an investigation into 6 medical students who forced their classmates to skip classes. Now, how can such an act be illegal?
Well, on the face, we have a right to education, so free exercise of that right, if it infringed or being curbed by threats or some strong-armed actions, that's an actionable case. But I think that suing the doctors from the patients and applying this kind of pressure seems to be what the government is doing to kind of turn up the heat.
Right, and maybe that's why some medical professors here in Seoul have decided to, kind of stop doing their collective, strike, walk out. Now, the government will decide actually next week what to do and how to deal with those medical professors and students and doctors who have not returned to duty. What kind of actions or measures should we expect the government to take?
Considering that they have been on the strong stance so far, probably it's hard to imagine that they will relent and be conciliatory or come to a negotiating table anytime soon, especially when the Doctors Association also took a strong stance. So it's a very unfortunate situation for the country because the stakeholders involved is not only the doctors, government, but the patients and nurses and the medical profession and the industries as a whole. It is, to begin with, a very complex and very difficult reform that they have to go through. But now it seems like they're both engaged in a very, very simple act of brinkmanship, which is not the way to solve this complex problem. So it is, I think, it's a national disaster because of the stances of these few stakeholders taking a very strong stance. And it's becoming, for a lot of patients, literally a matter of life and death. So right. I think that somebody has to come up and suggest some kind of mediation, some kind of a way to talk and solve this case, not only not in the courtroom per se, but as a political skills that they have.
Indeed, a headache for many of us, patients, the medical community, and also the government. All right, Professor Song, thank you so much for your insight. As always, we appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Russia and Ukraine each handed back 90 prisoners of war on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the first shipment of ammunition from Czech initiative has arrived in Ukraine, while Kyiv has begun talks to join the European Union. Lee Seung-jae reports.
With the United Arab Emirates working as the intermediary, Russia and Ukraine on Tuesday took part in a prisoner exchange involving 90 prisoners of war each. The swap is one of several periodic prisoner swaps made during the more than 2 years of war, with the latest exchange taking place in May when each country handed over 75 prisoners of war. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said the latest swap is on the path to bringing all detainees home. Meanwhile, the first shipment of ammunition from a Czech initiative arrived in Ukraine on Tuesday. This comes as the EU member has led an effort to buy ammunition with funding coming from NATO allies to help Ukraine in its war with Russia. Officials in Prague said in May that the first 50,000 to 100,000 artillery shells would arrive in Ukraine in June. The Czech government said that over $1.8 billion in payments or firm commitments from 15 donor countries had been made, which would allow for 500,000 artillery rounds for Ukraine by the end of the year. Of the countries that pledged to take part in the Czech-led initiative, only 5 had delivered the promised payments by the end of May. The European Union and Ukraine also began membership talks on Tuesday, a move Russia has long opposed. The EU accession talks began during an intergovernmental conference in Luxembourg, with President Zelensky on his social media page on X saying that his people are realizing their European dream, adding that Ukraine is returning to Europe. However, Tuesday's talks will most likely be just a small step on a long road, as Turkey has been in accession talks for almost 2 decades without a membership. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The Pentagon on Tuesday raised the possibility of North Korean troops being used as cannon fodder if they were to be sent to fight alongside Russian forces in Ukraine. According to Pentagon spokesperson Pat Ryder, North Korea should consider what it will mean to send troop assistance for Russia in what he called an illegal war against Ukraine. The comments come as deepened military ties between Pyongyang and Moscow have led to rising speculation that Russia could ask the North to send troops to help its war effort. Ryder also commented on the growing talks of need for South Korea to consider a nuclear option, saying that Washington's policy of denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula hasn't changed. Duty-free shops have long been a must-visit tourist spot for many foreigners coming to South Korea. But these days, more and more tourists are turning to regular shops on the streets instead. Our Kim Bo-kyung tells us more.
South Korea has been witnessing a rebound in the number of foreign tourists, recovering to nearly 89% of pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels in the first 3 months of this year. Duty-free shops have traditionally enjoyed the bulk of foreign sales, but that is no longer the case, at least for now.
In the past, large group tour packages might have made a beeline to the city's duty-free shops. But these days, more tourists are choosing regular shops on the street, like this store, to buy the latest must-have items.
CJ Group's health and beauty drugstore Arirang is one of those must-visit destinations for foreign visitors, having seen a significant 263% year-on-year surge in first quarter sales. Shoppers say it is not just a store, but rather a trendy cultural spot with a wide selection of products.
I think the reason is this place, it's a cultural spot for us as a tourists. When we watch videos about Korea and stuff like that, we always see Arirang in the city and we want to see it.
And I mainly chose Arirang because they have a broader selection of products. And I can test some of the products here. And there's some stuff who can help me out if I wonder something. So that has been very helpful here.
The popular dollar shop chain Daiso is another enjoying a boost in sales, with first quarter overseas car sales and transactions increasing by 76% and 61% respectively. Online fashion platform Bushinsan's Myeongdong store too has seen an increase in the number of foreign customers, with the figure climbing to 45% in May from around 30% in March. Foreigners' changed consumer trends can be seen in department stores as well. According to the data, foreign tourists' top choice for shopping was road shops, followed by department stores. Major ones, Lotte, Shinsegae, and Hyundai all saw at least 50 to 230% increases in foreign sales this year from January to May year-on-year.
Many tourists who come to Korea now come after seeing places on social media, so they visit ordinary shops a lot. Duty-free shops are losing customers because they are not actively promoting themselves on social media, nor do they have many products displayed. It is important for customers to actually see products and choose from a wide selection, and that is why small shops are popular.
Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Kim Seong, and now we turn off to stories from around the world. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has arrived at the U.S. territory of Saipan to formalize a plea deal at a U.S. district court and leave as a free man after a 14-year-long legal battle. Just a few hours ago, Assange was seen entering the courthouse, accompanied by Australia's ambassador to the U.S. and former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd. Last week, Assange signed a deal with the U.S. government to plead guilty to 1 charge of espionage instead of the 18 charges he had originally faced. The deal would allow him to avoid further prison time and he'll be free to return to his home, Australia. Assange left the UK on Monday after spending 5 years in Belmarsh Maximum Security Prison, where he fought against his extradition to the US. Now to Kenya, where at least 5 protesters have been shot dead by police and a section of the country's parliament set on fire as demonstrations against new tax proposals escalate across the country. Violence broke out on Tuesday in Nairobi as angry protesters stormed through police lines to break into the parliament, vandalizing the interior and stealing the ceremonial mace before starting fires. According to the Kenya Medical Association, the police then open-fired the live ammunition, killing at least 5 people. Kenyan President William Ruto called the protests an unprecedented attack on democracy and blamed the deaths on organized criminals. Protests have been ongoing for days, with President Ruto aiming to raise $2.7 billion to ease debt costs. China's Chang'e 6 lunar probe returned to Earth on Tuesday afternoon local time, with the re-entry capsule landing in the northern Chinese region of Inner Mongolia. With that, it has become the first lunar expedition to bring back samples from the moon's far side. According to China's state media CCTV, the collected samples will be transported by air to Beijing for analysis. Launched on May 3rd from the Wenchang Satellite Launch Center on the island of Hainan, the probe landed on the moon's South Pole Aitken Basin, an impact crater on the side of the moon that always faces away from the Earth. Chinese President Xi Jinping called the mission a landmark achievement. Britain's King Charles III and Queen Camilla welcomed the Japanese Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako on Tuesday, marking the start of the three-day state visit with a ceremony on Horse Guards Parade, a carriage procession and a state banquet. Emperor Naruhito's visit is the first by a Japanese head of state since 1998 and was postponed from 2020 due to the pandemic. After inspecting the Guard of Honor in their traditional scarlet uniforms and black bearskin hats, King Charles and Emperor Naruhito traveled to Buckingham Palace in a gold-edged horse-driven carriage. The visit highlights the ties between the two countries, where Emperor Naruhito aims to deepen military, cultural and scientific connections.
Good morning, I'm Lee Ji-hyun with the latest weather updates. It was a fairly refreshing day yesterday with nice summer breeze. It's going to be warmer today under brighter skies, and UV rays will soar to very high to extreme levels again in parts of Jeollado and Gyeongsangdo provinces during the day today. So be sure to protect your skin from too much exposure to the sun's UV rays. And afternoon temperatures will go up 1 to 3 degrees Celsius higher this afternoon, topping out at 30 degrees here in the capital, Chuncheon, Daejeon, Gwangju, and Gyeongju this afternoon. But Daegu goes up to 29 degrees, and Jeju Island will be topping out at 27 degrees. Meanwhile, a monsoonal front approaches Jeju Island in the late afternoon today, gradually spreading to the rest of southern regions by tomorrow morning. Rain will come down harder tomorrow and Friday, along with thunderstorms. Now, the monsoon season looks to begin in central regions this weekend, which will put the brakes on the heat, as the heat is forecast to get stronger in the capital through Friday, and we could see a high of 33 degrees on Friday afternoon here in the capital. And it looks like it's going to rain throughout next week. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. Arirang News will be back at noon Korea time.
하나, 둘, 셋.
Hey, Mr. Cupid, look my way. Make sure you listen to what I say. I may be stupid or quite naive.
끝없이 쏟아지는 포토 스팟. 휴대폰 한 대로 감당할 수 있겠니?
Arrow straight through my heart.
웰컴. (24시간) 불이 꺼지지 않는 나라 감당할 수 있겠니?
It also remains committed to boosting Korea's ties with its global partners on the sidelines of this latest.
To discuss the current security environment.
The United Nations most powerful body on global security, expressing hope stock markets around the world have taken a hit amid speculation that the US Federal Reserve Arirang.
Welcome. 엄청난 에너지를 춤으로 뿜어내는 나라. 감당할 수 있겠니? 하나, 둘, 셋.
Hey, Mr. Cupid, look my way. Make sure you listen to what I say. I may be stupid or quite naive.
끝없이 쏟아지는 포터 스팟. 휴대폰 한 대로 감당할 수 있겠니?
Arrow straight through my heart.
한국에 오면 먹어야죠. 먹어도 끝이 없는 나라. 감당할 수 있겠니?
We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Wednesday, June 26th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and you're watching News Generation. Today we're joined by Park Ko-nu.
Good morning.
Long time no see, Ko-nu. And Brooke Prince.
Hello, great to see you.
Great to see you all. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So today we're going to move on to our main discussion of the day right away. Now, with summer here, many viewers are likely planning how to spend their vacation. And what's always high on the vacation list? That's traveling. So if you have plans to visit Korea this summer, take a look at the screen to find out more. In the past, common itineraries for travelers to Korea included visiting centuries-old royal palaces, museums with historical artifacts, going to Seoul Tower, and trying out the traditional dress, hanbok. But these days, with the tourism industry rebounding after the COVID-19 pandemic, the domestic tourism sector is adopting a different approach to offer a more hands-on experience. How is the Korean tourism industry evolving? So let's continue from what was mentioned in the VCR. Let's first talk about the changes we are noticing and what kind of tour programs are newly trending here in Korea, Ko-nu.
Yes, so there have been big changes in tourism programs in South Korea compared to the past, over the past few years. So in the past, many foreign tourists usually visited places such as traditional palaces like Gyeongbokgung or other tourist attractions that represent Korea. But these days, even though those tourists actually visit those places, I think they try to find other things to experience at those sites. So for example, trying these traditional beverages and snacks at those palaces, and then taking some nice photos while enjoying their tour. And there are so many other like one-day classes where you can actually learn things within a day based on your interests, whatever it is, and basically things that you can experience in Korea. So for example, makeup classes where you can actually learn your favorite K-pop stars, makeup,
K-beauty.
Yes, K-beauty, exactly. And then also taking photos at photo booths. That's a must-do thing in Korea, especially among the younger generations these days. So yeah. But what's more cool is just like this picture I brought here.
Wow! So you look like a K-pop star.
Amazing.
So this is a picture of me, and there's like these programs where you can actually get all your makeup and hair done like a K-pop star by a professional makeup artist, and then you could actually get your picture taken all at one place. So I think this is one cool thing that foreign tourists actually do these days and actually can do if they visit Korea.
I mean, I learned something new. I've lived here a long time.
Yeah, me too. I lived my entire life in Korea, but I didn't know that there were so many like new, unique tourism programs that are being offered here in the country. Now, I want to ask you, Brooke, do you think that these new emerging unique type of tourism programs or itineraries, are they actually working out?
I think so, and I think that shows in how many foreigners are visiting Korea these days, whether it's a short-term visit or like me being here for almost 8 years now. A lot of foreigners end up living here long-term.
Right.
But if you look at the statistics themselves, the number of foreign nationals visiting Korea has sharply increased from around 97,000 in 2021 to over 11 million people in 2023. Wow. With 4.87 million people visiting Korea between January and April of this year. Now, if you look at the screen, you can see myself taking a K-pop dance class.
I didn't know you were such a good dancer.
Thank you. This was us learning Fearless by Le Sserafim. And it's really fun. You can see a lot of my foreign friends are there too. So this is one option for foreigners that are coming into Korea and they really enjoy K-pop like myself. You can actually have a hands-on experience like this. You can learn the choreography yourself. This was about an hour class and we had such a good time. So that's one option. Another one is getting your personal color analysis.
Yeah,
this has gone
that was
absolutely
big.
viral. You can find so many videos online of people trying to find the color that flatters them the most. And lots of foreigners are flocking to Korea to figure that out. There's also getting your fortune read. That's a really popular thing in Korea.
Right.
Going to K-culture classes, learning how to cook Korean food, things like that. Or if you want to become a K-pop idol yourself, the government is actually launching this new visa.
K-culture training
visa. That's right,
visa.
the K-culture training visa. So if you want to go beyond just learning some K-pop choreography in a dance class, and you actually have what it takes to become a part of an entertainment agency and receive training, then there's an option for you. So overall, I just think because there are so many opportunities for foreigners here in Korea, we're seeing them come here in much larger numbers.
I definitely get it. And based on the unique or diverse tour programs that both of you guys mentioned, I can definitely feel that the boundary of tourism here in Korea has definitely expanded. So much to experience, as Konu mentioned, K-food, K-beauty, and as Brooke mentioned, learning K-pop, and also the K-culture visa that will come soon here in the country. Now, when talking about tourism Korea, we have to mention Jeju Island in the south, which is one of the country's most popular travel spots. Now, Brooke, I've heard that the island has become extremely popular, especially among the international millennials and Gen Z, right?
That's right. Now, I hate to admit this, but despite having been here for almost a decade, I have not had a chance to go to Jeju yet.
You were super busy, I guess.
Yes, I really want to go. It's on my bucket list. Particularly, I have heard that horseback riding there is really
great.
Popular and beautiful. And one thing about me, I've been riding horses since I was 3 years old.
Really?
I actually competed as an equestrian when I was growing up. So it's a really meaningful part of my life, and I think it would be amazing to reconnect to it in a place as beautiful as Jeju. So that is on my list, but there are other activities that you can do in Jeju as well. A lot of young tourists tend to skip the duty-free shops, the typical thing that you would imagine a tourist would do, and instead they want to experience Jeju for the culture that's there. They want to go to the convenience stores, they want to go to the beauty shops, the local Korean restaurants. They want to try it all out for themselves. And additionally, what they're finding out is that more and more tourists are coming to Jeju and to Korea in general by themselves. So rather than coming with a large group of tourists, a lot of tourists want a more independent and self-sufficient experience. They want it to be individualized, and they want to make these memories doing actual hands-on activities. So instead of just going and kind of looking around, you get to really be a part of it. And I think that's one of the most appealing things about coming to Korea. And I really hope I get to go to Jeju sometime soon. Just looking at that CGI Korea. I just really wanted to go. It looked beautiful.
Right, you should definitely go to the island.
Have you been before?
Yeah, I've been there because like Jeju Island is kind of like the go-to spot for school trips for high schools here in Korea.
Like a field trip.
Yeah, and I recently went to Jeju for a business trip in March, and even though I went there for a business trip, it was so beautiful, a lot to taste and experience, so you should definitely go to Jeju.
One day I will go.
Yeah. And now to you, Chunmoo, one of the main reasons why we brought you back here on Newsgen is because you recently covered a story about the island launching the so-called hands-on tourism program. It's a new program, right?
Yes, so before I tell you more, I want to first share some data given by Jeju Tourism Organization, which shows that foreign tourists that visited Jeju during January to April this year soared by nearly 440% compared to the year before. And along with the increase, Jeju has been currently coming up with these special interest tours so that people can experience things that they're interested in at the site, like horse riding, golf, yachting, and many more, you name it. Compared to when you had to choose a travel destination first in the past, these tours allow you to choose the activity first and then your traveling place.
Interesting.
And I also got a chance to get on a yacht ride during my 2 weeks ago. And there were also haenyos, women divers that harvest seafood underwater without any breathing apparatus. We're also on board. So as part of the tour, they brought these seaweed and sea urchins from deep down the sea to share with us. And I thought this was a really nice idea because it's not just entertaining, but also educational, especially because you can know more about haenyeo culture, Korean traditional culture, and so on. And so these tours are actually now being prepared to be released very soon because tourism industry related people and activity club members who visited Jeju to participate in these fam tours this year actually decided to make these as an actual tour.
Right, I see. So it really just, your package, I saw your package and it looked really interesting. And Chunmoo, I heard that you prepared something for our viewers, like some sort of interview, right?
Yes, I did, yes.
So please introduce what you prepared.
Yes, so let's first take a listen to what the people from the tourism industry commented about what I've mentioned, the special interest tours, and how those traveling trends are actually changing.
Special interest tours are usually high-value products. Through these tours, we're making efforts to stimulate the economy of Jeju Island and to enhance the quality of Jeju tourism. Along with Greater China, the K-Culture Tour is the main theme for Japan, and cycling and trekking for Southeast Asian countries such as Singapore. This year, we have been conducting various familiarization tours targeting the Greater China region, including golf, fishing, and trekking. Luckily, many people are visiting Jeju Island afterwards. We will keep promoting the tours to reach the goal of 1.2 million people visiting Jeju this year.
Jeju travel used to be shopping-oriented, but has been changing to an experience-oriented thing, like visiting restaurants. It's good so that people can experience Jeju culture, food, and customs in depth.
So as they just mentioned, experience-oriented tours are really popular among these foreign tourists. And one example would be a cycling tour where you can ride your bike along the wide, beautiful Jeju Sea, which is actually being released very soon.
Oh, I see. I think I kind of get the reason why these international tourists are so into these tour programs, because not only can you just hear or see Korean culture, but you can also be part of the culture. You can experience it, as Chunmoo mentioned. So I want to ask you guys back here in the studio, first of all, Chunmoo, who actually went to Jeju Island and also experienced this tour package, what do you think are some of the reasons why more in the tourism industry here in Korea are coming up with these hands-on tourism, and why do you think that this is becoming so popular, especially among the younger generation?
Yeah, so basically I think it's because these MZers really prefer having experiences, especially at different places and countries, and because they evaluate those kinds of experiences as a very important thing.
Right.
And one other reason I thought was because of the high influence of social media and K-content, like dramas and movies that stars all those famous K-pop stars. And when we just think about K-pop, for example, the K-pop artists' great performances on stage started getting very viral on social media, on these online platforms. And I thought it was a big part of those K-pop stars gaining much global attention.
Thanks to social media.
Yes, and that's why I think foreign tourists actually visit dance studios to actually learn those awesome K-pop choreographies.
Yeah, so they can feel like a K-pop star,
like
right?
Yeah. Yes, and these MZers not just learn those awesome moves, but they actually film these short videos
and share it.
Yeah, so that they can do these K-pop dance challenges and then share it online. And because posting things online is really what the younger generation like doing whenever they visit nice places or try these awesome things. And sometimes they even visit those places just to post photos and videos online.
Right.
And I can say that for sure because I myself do that as well. Visit those Instagrammable places, taking Instagrammable photos, and then experiencing all those fun activities there.
Right. Our definition, the tech-savvy generation is definitely into, when compared to the previous generation, more Instagrammable spots and more Instagrammable experiences. Now to you, Brooke, I think that you could bring a more fresh perspectives regarding the reasons behind the popularity in hands-on tourism.
Well, I have to admit, when I first came to Korea, I was the typical tourist. I looked up the top 10 best tourist destination spots in Korea.
I think we all do when we go to a new country.
I visited all of them. I went to Namsan Tower, Lotte World, Gyeongbokgung. I did all of it. And I would say those places are still very much worth a visit. They are beautiful places to see in Korea, but there are also so many wonderful things to do. And I found that my most vivid, my best memories here are the ones where I really got my hands in and I really got involved.
It's more memorable, right?
Exactly. So, for example, I went to a temple stay and I got to make my own prayer beads, and I also did the 108 bow,
which is really admirable.
It was so tiring, but it was very meaningful and it was a very rewarding experience. I felt like I really got a glimpse of the culture rather than just reading about it. Doing it was very different. When I was learning Korean at a language institute, they also gave us many opportunities to have cultural experiences. We visited a pansori concert, so we got to listen to Korean traditional music. They also provided us with a Korean cooking class, which I will always remember because it was so much fun to get to actually do it ourselves. And so I think more and more tourists are looking for not just being able to look at the pretty things, but also be able to be directly involved.
Yeah, become a part of it.
Yes, I think they want to kind of live and breathe what it's like to be in Korean culture. It's almost like rather than a vacation, they want to know what it would be like to live here.
As a local resident here.
That's why you hear that they're actually using public transportation systems. They're really wanting to be involved and going to all of the daily places that a local would go to have a really authentic experience.
Right, definitely. Now, as we're talking about this new emerging trend that's being seen here in Korea, we also asked our viewers whether they've traveled to the country and if they have plans to, what kind of experience they're looking forward to. Now, here's what 3 of them had to say. So if we look at the comments, Eddie says, I was in Seoul for a week last year. My favorite activities were walking and eating ramyeon by the Han River and climbing Namsan Mountain. I want to hike to scenic spots and enjoy the views. Toby says Gyeongju stood out for me as it was steeped in so much history and had so much to tour and experience. The fortress castle with its grounds, the Buddha stone statue in the cave Seokguram, King Seondok's bell, and of course Bulguksa temple, and so much more. Brodo Kiba says, when visiting Korea, I'd love to experience a vibrant street food scene, explore historic palaces like Gyeongbokgung, immerse myself in traditional tea ceremonies, and maybe even catch a K-pop concert.
Definitely do that.
Right.
Concerts are amazing.
So just by looking at our comments, we can definitely see that international tourists who have plans to visit Korea, they want this traditional type of tourism experience. For example, looking at temples or looking at museums or artifacts, but at the same time, they also want to experience, as we've been talking about, Korean food and all those hands-on experience. So as we've mentioned before, today on NewsGen, we're talking about hands-on tourism. We have more discussion coming up, but we'll be right back after the break. I mean, you guys gave so much good recommendations and suggestions throughout our episode and our discussion today. I think that this question our viewers would like to know most about. As someone living in Korea, for those who are thinking about visiting Korea this vacation, what kind of tourist spots or programs would you like to recommend? Starting with you, Brooke.
Well, I still would like to recommend those typical tourist spots because they are that for a reason.
Yeah, it's a good way to
wonderful.
start.
A good place to start would be going to the museums, going to the palaces. When my family visited, those are the first places I took them to because I know they're wonderful and you can learn a lot about Korean history that way. Once you're done with that, then you can get a little bit more hands-on. I would recommend some of my favorite things are going to noraebang, which is a karaoke room, and also the PC bang, which is where you can play computer games. Now, even if you're not a gamer, I would still recommend going because it's such a unique cultural thing in Korea, and you can still sit there and open your emails and get food delivered to your desk.
Yeah, the food delivery. I think that's amazing.
So I would recommend trying that, and this is my #1 thing. And you might laugh at this and think it's out of left field, but I would recommend going to Daejeon and going to Seongsimdang.
Oh, that bakery.
It is my #1 bakery, the best pastries I've ever had in my life. My friends all know if they ever visit Daejeon to bring me back a pastry because it's that important to me.
I see.
So if you have time, go to Daejeon, go to Seongsimdang, get yourself some pastries, delicious. But overall, there are just so many things to do and places to see in Korea. I would just recommend giving yourself enough time to enjoy everything the country has to offer.
Great, some great suggestions from Brooke. Now to our business correspondent, Chunmoo, I think that you'll have a lot of recommendations to give us.
Yes. Especially because I was in Jeju for my coverage, I want to, recommend some activities that you can actually do at Jeju Island.
Nice.
So the yacht ride that I mentioned, I really recommend it because there's so many different concepts, not just the one that I was on with the Haenyos to experience the Haenyeo culture, but other than that, there's also a sunset tour, a night view tour, and also there's a seafood party where you can enjoy all these fresh seafood from Jeju Sea.
Wow.
I really want to be
We're all getting hungry now. Your mouth is watering right now. I
know. Okay, and then there's also this transparent kayak on this emerald colored sea. The go-karting is awesome. And also, most importantly, the food. So you must try these black pig barbecues and different kinds of raw fish, including mackerels, and also many desserts like shaved ice with apple mangoes on top of it. So you should definitely enjoy. I'm gonna go get some food right after.
You should.
Starving. But anyways, what I want to mention is that as there are so many places to enjoy in local places outside Seoul, I hope you guys visit other cities including Jeju, Gyeongju, Cheongju, where I'm from, and many more when you visit Korea.
Right. So as both of our panelists mentioned, there are so many amazing, interesting tourist spots and experiences that you can have here in Korea. So why not choose Korea for your summer vacation destination this time? And until then, we'll be here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks today to our business correspondent, Park Gun-woo.
Always a pleasure.
And Brooke Prince.
Thank you. It was great.
Lovely to have both of you guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.
하나, 둘, 셋.
Hey, Mr. Cupid, look my way. Make sure you listen to what I say. I may be stupid or quite naive.
끝없이 쏟아지는 포토 스팟. 휴대폰 한 대로 감당할 수 있겠니?